What's the best way to eat a Mexican style brisket? What about a Texas size overloaded breakfast taco? Or maybe just a traditional Texas style brisket taco? Either way, I'm going to show you how I made my version of this viral recipe. After you trim down your brisket, you're going to add a Mexican style hot sauce as your binder. If you still don't know how to properly trim down a brisket or just having a little trouble, make sure you check out my Texas style smoked brisket on the Oklahoma Joe's YouTube channel. Make sure you lather both sides of the brisket with a good amount of hot sauce. Once your binder is intact, we can go ahead and start seasoning. I'm keeping my brisket rub pretty simple, and here's why. There are definitely so many flavors I can add to the brisket, but it only takes that one flavor that does not taste good with smoke that will throw off the complete flavor profile of this brisket. So remember, it's all about balance. Now we're gonna let our brisket do a quick brine while we head outside. Our starting temperature is going to be 250 degrees. Today I'm using the Oklahoma Joe's reverse flow offset smoker. I'm using charcoal to initially heat up my offset, but I'll be using wood splits throughout the cook. For that authentic Tex-Mex flavor, I'm going to be using Mesquite wood splits. Once we have a clean fire, it's time to add our brisket. Now our brisket is ready to go, and we're just gonna place it in the smoker. We're just gonna let this brisket do its thing for about 4 hours undisturbed. After 4 hours, most likely your brisket is entering the stall. To get through the stall, we're gonna crank up the heat to 275 degrees until we are probe tender. My brisket was probe tender at an internal temp of 197 degrees. Just a reminder, just because your brisket's not on the smoker doesn't mean that internal temp has stopped rising. From my experience, they can rise from 7 to 10 degrees in the resting process. This step is optional, but I always recommend it. I turned my fat trimmings into beef tallow, and once I cooked down the beef tallow, I actually infused it with some hot sauce. Does seasoned or infused beef tallow do anything to the internal taste of a brisket? No, it does not. But what it did do is give the bark a little extra kick of heat. Now it's time to rest our brisket. Once your brisket is properly rested, it's time to slice. By properly rested, I mean your brisket internally needs to drop temperature before we begin slicing. I recommend letting your brisket drop to at least of an internal temp of 150 degrees before you slice. Or if you have the proper equipment to rest the brisket overnight and keep that internal temp of 150 degrees, that would be my way to go. But not everyone has the equipment or wants to rest the brisket overnight. A lot of people want to eat it the same day they cook it, and trust me, I understand. So trust me when I tell you, you're going to want to wait till that brisket drops internally. Because what happens when we cut our brisket when it's too hot, it basically shocks the meat and it tightens. So all that hard work that you worked on, all those hours you smoked the brisket, were basically for nothing. So trust me friends, let your brisket rest. Even any type of beef, let it rest after you pull it off the smoker. I cannot stress this enough. Don't believe me? Look at the brisket I'm slicing into. This is not a prime brisket. This is a choice cut brisket that in the flat, it is so extremely juicy. It even shocked me when I was slicing into it. But that's when you know you've made it in the brisket game. When you can make a choice cut brisket just as juicy as a prime brisket, you won. So let's take a look at the flat side of the brisket. It is extremely juicy and the bark is intact. And of course, we're going to do a quick pull test to see all that connective tissue break up. It should have no resistance when you pull. Alright, we're done with the flat. Let's get to the point. You've seen my other brisket videos, you know that the reason why I cut my brisket down to it's basically even from the point to the flat is so it cooks evenly without losing the integrity of it. And the point side of this brisket did not disappoint. Who am I kidding? This whole brisket was amazing and I loved it. And I know y'all love it too. This recipe was 100% inspired by the Mexican brisket recipe out there. So I highly recommend you trying this recipe out and letting us know how it comes out. So stop what you're doing, go run and get a brisket and throw it on a Oklahoma Joe's smoker for that real smoke flavor. Well, that pretty much wraps up this video. Don't forget to like and leave me a comment because it's hard out here for the barbecue ladies. Also, don't forget to tell me how you would eat your Mexican style brisket. Till next time guys, enjoy.